America has always been a land of stories. From the Wild West's tall tales to the modern-day urban legends whispered in high school hallways, these stories have a way of weaving themselves into the fabric of our culture. While many of these tales are purely fictional, some of the most popular urban legends have a chilling basis in reality. Today, we will explore 5 of the most notorious American urban legends that turned out to be true. These stories, ranging from the macabre to the downright bizarre, serve as a reminder that sometimes truth is scarier than fiction. Whether you're a believer in the supernatural or a skeptic who needs proof, these tales will make you think twice before dismissing those creepy stories that have been passed down through the years. The story of the killer in the backseat is one that has been told in countless variations. It's a tale that preys on our most primal fears, the fear of being watched, followed, and ultimately attacked when we are at our most vulnerable. The legend typically goes like this. A woman is driving alone at night when she notices a car following her. Every time she speeds up, the car speeds up. Every time she slows down, the car does the same. Panicked, she finally makes it home, only to discover that the driver was trying to save her because there was a killer hiding in her back seat. While this sounds like the plot of a horror movie, it's based on a real incident that occurred in 1964. In New York City, a young woman stopped at a gas station late at night. Unbeknownst to her, a man with malicious intent slipped into the back seat of her car while she was paying for gas. Fortunately, an off-duty police officer noticed the suspicious activity and followed her car, flashing his lights and honking his horn to get her attention. When she finally pulled over, the officer apprehended the would-be attacker, who was armed and ready to strike. This true story has become a cautionary tale, reminding drivers to always check their back seats before getting into their vehicles. The fear it evokes is universal, tapping into the anxiety of being in danger without even realizing it. The legend's endurance speaks to its ability to resonate with our deepest fears, transforming a real incident into a story that has been told and retold with slight variations across generations. The legend of the Bunny Man has all the elements of a classic urban legend: a bizarre figure, unexplained violence, and a setting that adds an extra layer of creepiness. According to the tale, in the 1970s, people began reporting sightings of a man dressed in a bunny costume who wielded an axe and terrorized the suburbs of Washington, D.C. The story goes that the Bunny Man would attack people and vandalize property, and that he lived in a secluded area near a bridge, which became known as Bunny Man Bridge. The story seems too strange to be true, but it has its roots in real events. On October 19, 1970, a couple was driving in Fairfax County, Virginia, when they noticed a man standing in front of them in the road. As they approached, the man, dressed in a white bunny costume, suddenly hurled a hatchet through their car window, narrowly missing them. He shouted something about trespassing and then disappeared into the night. The couple reported the incident to the police, and while an investigation was launched, the Bunny Man was never caught. In the weeks that followed, more reports of a man in a bunny costume came in. Some said he was seen standing menacingly on people's lawns. Others claimed he chased them with an axe. The media picked up on the story, and soon the legend of the Bunny Man took on a life of its own. Over time, the details became more outlandish. Some versions of the legend even claim the Bunny Man was the ghost of an escaped mental patient, while others say he was a vengeful spirit haunting the area. Today, the Bunny Man Bridge has become a popular destination for thrill seekers and ghost hunters, particularly around Halloween. The story has been embellished over the years, but at its core it remains a frightening reminder of how a real event can spiral into something much more terrifying in the collective imagination. The urban legend of the babysitter and the man upstairs is one that taps into the fear of being stalked by a stranger in what should be the safety of a home. The story usually goes like this. A teenage babysitter receives a series of mysterious phone calls while watching over children. The caller asks her to check on the kids, saying ominous things like, "Have you checked the children?" As the calls become more frequent and threatening, the babysitter contacts the police, who trace the calls and discover that they are coming from inside the house. While this scenario has been immortalized in movies like, it has its roots in a real-life horror story. On March 18, 1950, in Columbia, Missouri, a 13-year-old girl named Janet Christman was brutally attacked while babysitting. She had just put the children to bed when she was strangled with an iron cord and stabbed multiple times by an intruder. Her final moments were harrowing. She had managed to call the police, but only screams were heard before the line went dead. The crime shocked the small town and sparked a massive investigation. But despite extensive efforts, the killer was never caught. The brutal nature of the attack and the fact that it happened while she was babysitting only added to the horror. Over time, the story became intertwined with the urban legend, blurring the lines between fact and fiction. The tragedy of Janet Christman is a sobering reminder of the dangers that can lurk in the most unexpected places. While the legend has been exaggerated in retellings, the real story is no less terrifying. It's a tale that has endured because it plays on the universal fear of being vulnerable in what should be a safe and protected environment. Slender Man is a relatively modern urban legend born from the depths of the internet. The tall, faceless figure dressed in a black suit first appeared in 2009 on a forum for supernatural stories. Slender Man is depicted as a malevolent entity who preys on children, luring them into the woods where they are never seen again. The character quickly became an internet sensation, spawning countless fan fiction stories, artwork, and even video games. While Slender Man is a fictional creation, the fear he inspired became very real in 2014. In Waukesha, Wisconsin, two 12-year-old girls, Morgan Geyser and Anissa Wire, lured their friend Peyton Leutner into the woods under the pretense of playing a game. Once they were deep in the forest, the two girls stabbed Peyton 19 times, leaving her for dead. Remarkably, Peyton survived the attack and managed to crawl to a nearby road, where she was found by a passing cyclist. When questioned by the police, Morgan and Anissa claimed that they had committed the stabbing to appease Slender Man, whom they believed was real and would harm their families if they didn't follow through with the plan. The case shocked the nation and raised questions about the influence of internet culture on young minds. The girls were eventually found not guilty by reason of insanity and were committed to mental health institutions. The Slender Man Stabbing is a chilling example of how an urban legend can cross the line from fiction into reality. It serves as a stark reminder of the power of stories and the sometimes dangerous influence they can have, particularly on impressionable minds. The incident also sparked widespread debate about the responsibilities of creators and the impact of violent content on youth. The legend of Cropsey is a tale that has haunted the residents of Staten Island, New York, for decades. The story goes that Cropsey was a boogeyman who lived in the abandoned ruins of the Willowbrook State School, a notorious institution for children with disabilities. According to the legend, Cropsey would emerge at night to snatch children from their beds, dragging them into the tunnels beneath the school where they were never seen again. For years, Cropsey was dismissed as just another urban legend, a story told to keep kids from wandering too far from home. However, in the 1980s, the legend took a terrifying turn when children actually began disappearing from Staten Island. The real-life boogeyman turned out to be a man named Andre Rand, a former janitor at the Willowbrook State School. Willowbrook had been closed in 1987 after a series of exposés revealed horrific conditions, including abuse and neglect of the residents. Rand, who had a history of mental illness and a criminal record, was living in a makeshift camp on the grounds of the abandoned institution. Between 1972 and 1987, several children and young adults with disabilities disappeared in the area, and Rand was eventually connected to their disappearances. In 1988, Rand was convicted of kidnapping a young girl named Jennifer Schweiger, whose body was found in a shallow grave near Willowbrook. Although he was suspected in several other cases, there was not enough evidence to convict him of additional murders. Rand was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison, where he remains to this day. The Cropsey legend, once thought to be nothing more than a spooky tale, turned out to be rooted in the very real and horrifying crimes of Andre Rand. The story has since been the subject of a 2009 documentary titled, which explores the connection between the urban legend and the real-life events. The case remains one of Staten Island's most notorious, serving as a grim reminder of the evil that can hide in the most unexpected places. These urban legends, each with their own unique and chilling story, serve as a testament to the power of folklore and the ways in which real events can become intertwined with myth. While the details may vary, the underlying themes of fear, mystery, and the unknown remain constant. These stories remind us that the line between fact and fiction is often blurred, and that sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that actually happened. As these urban legends show, the truth can be strange and more terrifying than fiction. Whether it's a killer lurking in the back seat, a man who walks the roads at night with a disfigured face, or a clown who shows up at your door with deadly intent, these stories tap into our deepest fears and remind us that the world is full of dark and mysterious forces. The next time you hear a story that seems too strange to be true, remember these tales and consider the possibility that the truth might be even scarier than the legend. Thank you for joining us on this eerie journey. If these tales sent chills down your spine, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more. Your support helps us, and we can't wait to explore more mysterious tales with you. Stay curious, and until next time, keep your eyes open, because you never know what's lurking in the shadows.